Hello, and welcome back to Dev Game Club, a weekly podcast in which two veteran game developers look at games from the past to discuss their relevance and impact today. Or at least, most weeks, that is. This week, as the only host with power, it falls to me not to discuss Outcast, but to present another episode from our Discord folks. This episode hosts Biostats and Calamity Nolan interview Lost Lake. If you listened recently to our Minecraft episodes, you'll have heard Lost Lake's name mentioned several times as someone who has clearly spent a lot of time with that game. Furthermore, Lost Lake and Calamity both streamed during the recent Defeating Games for Charity event, and Bio is instrumental in the organization of that event. As always, if this is not your thing, we should be back next week to finish off Outcast. Take care out there.
Welcome to Discord Game Club's Just Rhetoric, a podcast where Nolan and myself interview content creators. Today we're excited to have Twitch streamer, West Coast Canadian, Lost Lake. I'm Ryan, your host, or Biostats on the Discord, and I'll let them introduce themselves right now.
Hey everybody, I'm Nolan. I'm Calamity Nolan in the Discord.
And I am Lost Lake 86, and I'm Lost Lake 86 in the Discord. Maybe I'm just Lost Lake in that one. I might have dropped the 86 for a little bit.
Tell us about your handle and your channel name. Where'd it come from?
Lost Lake comes from that transition period of leaving the edgy names of the internet behind and going into something a little bit more me. I was in university at the time, and we were doing film production stuff, and I needed a film production name. And at that point, of course, it's that early adult period where we all feel lost, and I still feel lost. So the handle has stuck around. But I was feeling lost, and part of my name just happens to be Lake. So Lost Lake, that also gave cool imagery. I could easily develop like different logos for it, and I just went with Lost Lake Productions on that first production. And as I had that handle, it just kind of stuck, and I started playing video games online with coworkers. And I was at Future Shop at the time, and my coworkers knew me better as my handle than as my own name, just because we played games so often. And I just have kept the handle ever since. I am Lost, I'm part Lake, and I guess everyone can figure out the 86. You do the math on all that.
I'll just say I'm older.
Exactly.
And I'll just say I'm not.
See? It just throws it out there. I'm a person who doesn't care about age. I don't know my parents' age. I barely know my kids' age. I have to do math most of the time. Age just is so irrelevant to me that I don't mind putting it out there on my handle. People can do with what they want with that information, and I find once it's out there, people will approach me how they approach me.
Especially with you not caring about age, how do you approach going on Twitch, which Twitch, YouTube, there's, streamers tend to be thought of as a younger game, but you're someone who is maybe in the next generation up. What's your relationship with these streaming platforms?
I have talked about this on the Discord before, so this is a great place to put this now. Even back in the early days where cable versus internet was just like your package. Back in the 90s, internet was just coming in, and everyone had cable. Coming from a home with not a lot of money, we had to make the decisions early between cable and internet. And we were just an early cable cutter. I didn't see the value of the things on TV. I would rather sit down and play on the MSN Gaming Zone and talk to someone in Australia and play checkers. That was a much more fascinating thing for me. I had also cut my teeth on computers, so that was always a staple in the living room. It was always just something right there. It was really easy to cut the cable, be online. So in a lot of ways, I'm already on that millennial track, even though I'm older. I was there when YouTube was starting out. I was there when Twitch was just in TV. It was something else small before that as well. I may not have been prominent on the platforms, but I've always been a lurker. I've always been kicking around, watching what's been going on. And as I was growing up and whatnot, and bills became my priority, I never wanted the cable bill. I left the cable bill aside, got it internet, and where's my media going to come from? It's going to come from YouTubers. It's going to come from Twitch. It's going to come from video games. On the age side of things, you guys can see it because of the video. Lovely you. And you guys can see it if you come and follow me on Twitch. I've got these plushies above me. And each one is a different YouTuber. Most of them are in a group together called Hermitcraft. And some of these guys are older than me. Some of them are older than Bio. And they play Minecraft. That is their job. They put out 1 or 2 videos a week. They do 1 or 2 streams a week. And I watch them religiously. I would rather watch them interact and have human interactions in Minecraft than turn around and watch some made up drama on cable network TV. It's just, that's where my head has gone. So me joining this platform has just kind of been I'm just dipping my toe in. I've seen people do it. I got an idea of how to do it. So yeah.
What pushed you over the edge to start?
Having the time, having the financial stability. I've burnt out working 2 different careers. And on this final burnout, there was a lot of talk of mental health. I'm sure we're going to get there on the path. But it's one of those where I have the support right now to do this. So why not sit down and do something I like and hopefully be able to reach out to somebody else and make their day feel better? And I'm doing it for me in the comfort of my own office here. It's beautiful. I woke up, I've got my porch out back. I've got this opportunity. I want to seize it and I want to see what I can do with it.
Going in a little deeper on that, do you have any specific goals for what you want your stream to be in the future?
I'm not 100% sure on this. I want it to be a nice, relaxing place for people to cozy on in. I know I've got Kaon is one of my in there all the timers. Bio, yourself, pop in when you can, and I appreciate that. I just like having a nice, cozy place where people can come in, chat, we can look at something new, we can talk about something new. Maybe watch me grind my face up against something because I'm a sucker for punishment and roguelikes. But really where I want to grow to is just having a nice comfy place for people to come, chat, watch me play some video games, and who knows from there.
Have you given any thought to going for affiliate or partner?
Oh, 100%. I was just in Ontario for a few weeks, and it gave me some time to ruminate. And yeah, as soon as the option comes up, I don't know how I want to drive it. I think I want to do like a natural growth. It's just really hard to do a natural growth. That's all. But again, I've been presented with this magical opportunity. I think I want to slip into it.
You don't want to buy cheap viewers?
No, I don't want to buy cheap viewers. I don't have the money to buy the cheap viewers. I'm just starting out. Like, come on.
How do you think you're going to differentiate your channel or your stream from so many others out there? What makes Going to Lost Lake unique?
I think you kind of talked about it earlier. I am an older person on Twitch. I've got that dad energy that I can bring to Twitch. And I know in some circles that's needed. I know that there's some viewers that latch on to that energy. One of these guys, it's hard to see, this guy right here. He's got two girls who are in college, but in each of his streams and each of his videos, he's got this dad energy. And then this younger streamer popped in and she joined the crew, and you could just tell that it was like an under the wing, cool, you need any help, we've got you. And I love the energy that that brought. And I just think that this world needs a lot more dads being wholesome father figures. And that's where I want to stand out, is I want to be the wholesome place where anyone can come in, discuss what they need to discuss, and I'll listen.
Very cool. I've noticed actually a lot of parents streaming on Twitch. Do you think that it's a particularly good platform for parents in some way, or is there things you'd maybe change to make it better for parents?
In some ways, I feel it being another outlet for parents. As parents, we get super busy. Our friend circle squish up. And if you already have a small friend circle and things squish up, there's not a lot of social opportunities. And that's something that I am also looking for. I'm very much an introvert, and I don't have an activity outside that I do regularly other than walk my pretty puppy dogs and hang out with them. So by sitting down and streaming for a bit, I'm taking time to socialize with people who have real jobs. I'm taking time to socialize with other entities in this world. And it's one that I wouldn't get any other way. So maybe that's part of it, is it's really hard making friends when you're older. So let's jump online and try to make a group.
In general, it seems like you stream a lot of indie games and roguelikes. Is that sort of the vein you want to stay in? Do you want to branch out? How do you choose a game that you're going to do?
I play everything. I always have. It's been, well, again, I cut my teeth on computer. So I grew up with shareware and freeware. And then I had demo discs. And then I was renting for the Super Nintendo. And then I was romulating everything on the computer. And then Flash was there, and I was on Newgrounds every day. And now we're into this new bubble of where do I get my new input from? And it's the indie bubble. It's every new idea, every new little thing is out there. So maybe it's that 30 years of always looking for something new that's led me just to where I am today, watching that indie bubble of, oh, that's a neat twist. Why didn't anyone else think of that?
Give everybody checking this out a recommendation on a game.
I just played a game called Overboard on stream, and it threw me for a loop. It was part of a detective bundle on Humble. That's usually how I snag a whole bunch of things, right? And instead of me trying to figure out who the murderer was, spoiler, you're the murderer. And as I started out, I didn't know who had what information, so I played it as coy as possible. I'm just, no, nothing happened to my husband. It's fine. It's fine. And that turned into this one person who had seen what had happened, and I'm panicking. I'm pinned in a corner. And right there, I go to jail, but it drops you smoothly back into, okay, try that again, but now you know she's got this information. So the deduction's happening backwards, and it's beautiful. So now I know she's got this information. I've got to get to her. She's locked herself in her room. How do we get her out of her room? And these were all layers that I wasn't expecting to be thinking about. And then as you start on that arc, oh, you bump into the captain. Oh, this happens with the captain. oh, now I've got to cover myself with the captain and I've got to cover myself with her. This is, oh, and there's these people. And that was brilliant. I love the way that that opened up. So that would be my standout at the moment. That really, that surprised me. It was great.
Well, should we talk about the other indie game that you play quite often, Slay the Spire?
Sure.
I notice you've been, yeah, playing, twice a week for many months. For those who don't know, it's an indie game, deck building, roguelike. So you're getting cards and you're trying to go through a dungeon and fight enemies. So what is it about this game that keeps you coming back?
Now I'm determined to just beat it with the silent. That is what it is. It started out nice and simple, where we were talking about it in the Discord, and because of all these humble bundles I pick up, it happens to be in my Steam. Well, okay, everyone's talking about it, let's boot it up. And I poke at it once or twice, and it's not grabbing me, but I had played Final Fantasy on stream, so it's like, well, let's play this on stream. And as I'm clicking through, doing it, the game's unlocking in my head, and I'm figuring out more. And lovely Bio is there coaching me on, thankfully. I don't think I would have got to the end of my first run without a little bit of coaching. And then something in the cards gripped me where I saw a synchronicity where some cards were meshing good with other cards. And that brings me to the Binding of Isaac, where this one starts mixing with this one. And those combination games just start getting my brain bubbles going, and I start looking at it and going, oh, this is meshing well with this, and I want to combine this. And then it goes into numbers go up. I want numbers to go up. And I've had a real problem with the numbers go up before. So I changed my goal to going in for, no, let's beat it with this character. Let's beat it with this character. Okay, we beat it with the main characters. Now let's go in and beat the game. And I want to do it with the silent because that's the one that I fell in love with right off the bat.
Yeah, for people who don't know, the game starts out with 4 characters, and essentially you have to complete a run with each of them to unlock the next character. And then after you've done the first 3, you unlock a 4th act with a final boss. And Lost Lake completion, I guess as he's defined it, is beating that 4th boss.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself a Slay the Spire streamer?
No, I'm just an indie streamer. I just happen to be stuck in a Slay the Spire hole at the moment.
It's very relatable.
I'll play other things. Like I just started up Overboard on Thursday because I am looking at streaming daily. I think people would get really bored if I just kept slamming my head against the Spire. So I definitely going to keep Slay the Spire in the rotation until I beat it. And then I'll probably play Slay the Spire 2 just out of love. And but no, I'm definitely moving into other things. I think I want to hit a more narrative focused game next. When I played Final Fantasy 15, it was kind of nice to be able to play and someone would pop in and be like, oh, I missed this part, and I could kind of catch them up on what was going on and keep going on a nice structured narrative, as opposed to, oh man, I was just grinding my head for 2 hours. Don't even look at the VOD. It's not even worth it. As opposed to, oh, we finished this chapter and this happened, and yeah.
Do you have any thoughts or theories about the upcoming sequel for Slay the Spire? Or
I have not looked at a thing. I've stopped looking at anything for any game ever. I put my blinders on, and if it's a game, if it's a movie, I don't want to know about it till it's out.
Amazing. That's dedication.
It's not easy.
No, and I will say, this conversation sort of flows into the next Discord Game Club's game too. Do you want to touch on your play of Into the Breach?
Uh, sure. I definitely wasn't as dedicated into like for Into the Breach. Uh, where do I lose myself on that one? I'm not sure. I'm not a big tactics person to begin with. I spent my time with Final Fantasy Tactics back when it came out, and I spent some time with XCOM. I think I prefer my tactics when it's more in that RPG realm of things, of uh like really dense RPG realm of things. Like we're getting into the Dungeons and Dragons. We're talking XCOM, kind of. I'm not a big fan of the permadeath on XCOM. I know that's kind of its shtick. Same with Fire Emblem. The permadeath on that one's not my biggest thing. So jumping into these has been a lot harder. Though I have found what's that? Shadowrun? Yeah. I've spent lots of time with Shadowrun. Back in the day, Fallout, like that's how I got into Fallout back in the day. I'm a huge Fallout nerd. Uh, so it was those RPG tactics games that caught me. So when we get to Into the Breach, I can't call it simple because there's so many layers to it. But my drive to get through the battle isn't as strong. I'm not as connected to these characters. I'm not as connected to the story. So as I'm going through the breach and, oh, I blew up a mech. Oh, of course I blew up a mech. I wasn't paying attention. As opposed to, I blew up Tars. No. Like there's a bigger emotional drop at that point.
I would say it's fair to call that plot simple and Into the Breach. I don't think that's out of bounds.
Yeah. I did like the puzzle aspect. There was very much a puzzly shifting units to shift other units or shift the map itself to hit enemy units. That was cool, and I could see a puzzle there. I just didn't hit the right pieces to click my brain on getting sucked in, but I really feel that it was a narrative like, oh, we're just going into the breach. Do, 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 do.
How do you contrast that with Slay the Spire, which has probably even less narrative?
Again, I guess I've given myself my different goals on that one. My goal was to beat it with a certain character. My goal was to beat it with different characters. My goal was to beat it at the last act. Where Into the Breach, you're right. I didn't give myself a clear am I gonna unlock everything? Am I gonna try each one once? I never gave myself that kind of a goal. And maybe that's why I never got hooked. Yeah, I found myself having a hard time finding my own drive in a game. I love No Man's Sky. It's beautiful, it's big. I can play it on my Steam Deck, got cozy on my couch. I can play it on my computer with all 4K, blah, blah, blah. And I have a cool base, but I have to have a reason to play it. And I have a hard time finding that reason. So I will go 2 or 3 updates without touching the darn thing. And then my goal is, oh, okay, I've got 2 or 3 updates. Let's go explore those. That's my goal. And I can go that way with that game. But I am really finding a hard time finding my own agency in a lot of games if it's not presented to me.
So talking about all these different games and how you play everything, is there any sort of criteria that you use to decide what would be a good stream game?
Oh, that one's a little bit of a toughie because I'm still so new and I'm still finding this. I'm still budding on this one. As I said, I think the narrative one might be a good idea to get us on a through line. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about on the next thing I want to play. I want to have like an actual story that we're going through, blah 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 blah.
All right, let's do a little bit of a curve here then. So you make all of your own graphics and emotes for your stream and some other streams as well. Can you talk about what that process is like?
That process in the starting inspiration has to happen for me during a stream, as far as I'm concerned. It's the only time it's popped for me. Using Kaon is one of the best examples on this, where I don't necessarily have an idea. I'm just sitting there watching the stream, working on whatever I'm working on, and something funny will happen, like a Yeti coming on with his smooth moves, and us chuckling at it, calling it dad dancing, and and then someone turning around and going, "Oh, we need an emote of that." And then I'll go outside and I'll think about it for a while, and I already have a gift apparently that people don't have. I've got that inner vision that not everyone has. Some people, you say apple, and they can't picture the apple, or they picture a 2D apple. I can picture a 3D apple in whatever state of decay you want it in. I can have it ripe. I can have it. I've got an imagination like crazy. So right away, I can see that Yeti and I can see him dancing. Oh, okay, cool. Well, there's a tool I use called Sprite, and that is one of the main tools of the industry when it comes to sprite art. And I wanted to get that one specifically just to get the experience with the program in case it ever leads to something. So I pop up Sprite and I go looking for that Yeti. Well, fun story. That Yeti sprite is not just floating on the internet, easy to grab. So I actually had to pull up Kaon Stream, blow it up, watch the Yeti, mimic it on a sprite, pull what I could, redraw what I needed to redraw, and then, okay, we've got our dancing Yeti sprite, finally. And I'm like, he's not dancing enough for me. So I go back out, and this is another day, and I'm outside thinking, and it's like, oh, you know what? A moonwalk. A moonwalk would really get him. People would see that as okay, he's shuffling, right? So I add the moonwalk in and it's looking great. But there's something missing. I want it so that when you post it up, the emote will slide into the following emote if you've spammed it. I want them to chain together. That chain didn't work. But I sent it to Kaon. I'm like, here you go. You're doing a King's Quest stream. We need this silly dancing Yeti. And we go and we do the dancing Yeti. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the dancing Yeti and I go, oh, that's how I do it. The next day he had that Yeti that could chain from one to another just because I needed that extra day to let the juices boil and move and go. So that was pretty much the through line on that one.
You have a unique background in the sense that, you know, you're part IT, or at least you've had a career in IT. At the same time, you have a foot in the arts, right? With your photography and now with this. Do you think that sets you apart from other streamers, or how do you plan to bring that to your stream?
I think it will give me a lot of tools and a lot of confidence to go in this on a solo level. I do find that in the industry, I'm a bit of a unicorn. The fact that I can talk tech and talk art. So doing it solo, I'll definitely have like I don't have confidence because of anxiety, but I'll have confidence in me because of the background that I have built 100%. I don't necessarily know that I'll stand out myself because I feel that these are tools that all good streamers should have. But I know not everyone can have those tools. Not every streamer can have that IT background. But because I do have that IT background, I can either try to fix it myself or know that I'm in way over my head and I shouldn't fix it myself. There's a negative side to that, I find though, because I want it all done right and I want it done my way. So giving some sort of power or creative outlet later on to someone else, I feel will be difficult, but I haven't stumbled there yet. It's not something I've dipped my toe in.
You have the as you mentioned before, you said you were an introvert, but now it sounds like you're a type A introvert in terms of your streaming stuff, right? So now you're caught in this weird uncanny valley.
Well, as you said, I've got this IT background. My IT background is Geek Squad. It is retail IT. It is somebody hands you their laptop. They're like, I have a home business on this. I need it now. Well, okay, a virus scan takes more than now to run. Let's think about this. And you're retail, so you can't have a big banner above your head that says, poor planning on your part is not an emergency on my part. I'd be sitting there with a lineup of 12 customers, some of them just old grannies who need help with their email. Some of them, laptop, I literally need to take your hard drive out, get what I can off of it, rebuild it. So after being under all that pressure, sitting down and booting up, it's a different kind of anxiety, but I'm in my bubble, I'm in my place, and I'd rather be here solving a tech issue than standing on concrete floor and having to deal with a lineup of 20 people. Right now, if my wife, who runs her own business, needs something, I can have that laptop right here on the side. I can do my IT work at the same time as I'm streaming or working on an emote or doing whatever.
When you increase your Twitch status, what are some emotes that you're going to create, or do you have a logo in mind for your channel?
Well, I need to incorporate some sort of Lost and Lake together. That background splash, I want to do a pixel art lake, like lake view, but I found that when it comes to doing sprites, I'm not bad. I'm getting better at it. Doing landscapes, that's a whole other thing. I'm not 100% how I'm doing that one yet. I'm actually thinking of using some of my old photography skills, taking shots of what I want, and then putting the pixels on top of my picture shot. Doing it that way, almost like a rotoscope.
Oh, it's just static rotoscoping, right? I don't know if that's a thing.
Well, that sounds great to me. It's like mixed media almost.
At this point, why not? The computer will let you. Like, what do I lose by trying it once or twice right here on Aseprite?
I want to pivot to something that comes up on your stream a lot, and you actually mentioned it earlier in the pod. It's talking about your mental health and just sort of mental health awareness in general. In the past, we've had Ben on who really forwards it in his podcast. Kyle, who's pretty open about it, and even Kaon is sort of comfortable discussing it, which is not always the case with people of our generation. Do you find it to be as hard to be open about it as you are, or does it give you any fear disclosing type stuff like that?
Oh, it's so hard. It is so hard, especially with that introvert tucked in personality. I even younger, I was always quiet. I was never one to open up to my parents. I was never one to open up to the people around me. I stay trapped up here all the time. Probably why I have to walk away when I do my art, because I got to go back up into the brain for a bit to let things bubble. So it's very difficult, but I feel I have to. One, we talked about that small social circle before. I got to talk to someone about this. So telling you guys on stream, I'm having a down day, but we're just going to sit through and we're going to play some cards. That alone has helped me release something off my chest. And I find even after that stream, I feel better afterwards. I've had time to chat with someone, and not only about me and what I'm going through, but them and what they're going through, but just the fact that they know I'm down and they're still present. That means a lot to me. Uh, Dealing with other mental health issues. My mental health is bipolar, and we fight with ADD on the side. It's part of the ups and downs. And I feel that I have to tell people where I am on those ups and downs. Because when I didn't, people had a hard time reading it because I'm stuck in my head. I'm not expressing it. I'm not telling them. And that just made for a lot of rockiness. So now that I'm in this later stage and I've got to deal with it, I've got a son now. My son is 9. He very much shows the same signs. Well, I can't help him if I can't help me. So I've been going through this journey. I've been talking to therapists, psychologists, my wife. I've started new meds. And it is very tough to talk about, but I find that I've found 2 really good places where I can talk about it. One, with my current household family. I've got my wife, my mother-in-law, and my son. I have to include him in these conversations as well because he's going to go through this. My other support system is the Discord. I'm a mod. I'm a silly mod that basically just sits there and floods emotes, or I feel I talk too much. It's part of the ADD. It's there. I have to acknowledge the feeling, right? And as I'm talking about it, I'm finding that there are others who are feeling this way, and they're not talking about it. And I'm feeling better, so I'm hoping that by me discussing it and by me feeling better, I can encourage them to talk about it and them to feel better. And this goes back also to that streaming dad vibe. You look at the Discord, we've got at least 3 fathers, myself included, who will keep tabs on people when they're traveling, when they're going through things. Having the support in the Discord, having the support at home, these have given me my places where I know I can freely speak and not be attacked, not be downplayed, not be not believed, I think is the important one. Because for so long, when it comes to mental health, it's the feeling of not being believed, not being listened to, that is the big problem.
When you're having a down day or a day that's tough to focus and you're streaming, do you just try and power through it, or do you, I know you take coffee breaks, but I'm not sure that's always for mental health reasons. Do you find just stepping back for a moment recenters yourself, or do you just, just talking about it on stream to people who are there helps? Like, how do you get through it on a tough day?
I just power through it. We were told to power through it. I was told to go to school, not discuss this kind of thing really. I ended up, this is where part of the art comes from. I wasn't so much paying attention in school. I'm a quick learner. It's a detriment because I want 1,000 hours experience in everything. So as the teacher was sitting up there talking about something because maybe the guy next to me didn't get it on the third, fourth try, and I got it on the first try. Well, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to start doodling. And I doodle, and I doodle, and I doodle. And that's where some of the art came in. I wasn't allowed to have the down day. I wasn't allowed to say, I don't want to go to school today because I feel miserable. Or I don't want to go to school today because I have so much energy, I can't sit for 8 hours. And that even goes into work. You're 17, 18 now. You got to go to work. You got to pay the bills. My parents weren't affluent. At 18, I had to pay some of the room and board. I was a growing boy. I wasn't growing. I was growing sideways. I was eating a lot. And yeah, you got to pay for the food. You got to pay for the bed. So you got to power through it. I wasn't allowed to have the down day. Even when I started working, you couldn't call in sick. You called in with a cold and your manager's looking at you going, "Oh yeah, you're faking it." Again, back to that not listening. You're right. Maybe I didn't have a cold. Maybe I was curled up in bed and I didn't want to move. You got to power through it. So to sit down and have to do it, that's easy. I'm sitting here at my computer where I'm already going to play a video game. I have my coffee maker upstairs. I have all my comforts right here. It's a lot easier to start up a stream when I'm depressed or bouncing. I tell you guys I'm feeling depressed or bouncy, having a hard time focusing, and we go from there. Hopefully I can make you guys chuckle or yeah, I just got to be entertaining along the way, and people seem to find me funny.
Powering through it in the sense that you're doing now is way healthier than in the past, right? So we don't want to sit here and tell you to power through things. I think Lost Lake's framing this as when he's comfortable and he has pleasant interactions with chat, right? That makes this idea of plowing through it actually a different experience.
Oh, it's not just chat though, it's environmental. I'm not sitting there in a concrete building. One of the jobs I worked for 3 days was working in a cabinet making place. I couldn't take the sound of the saws and sanders. We don't know, like, we didn't know that was so much anxiety based until afterwards, right? So very much environmental. I can sit in my nice, quiet place with all my comforts. That's the biggie for me on this one, is the environment itself. Chat is chat. Little small secret about me, I streamed before this. I used to stream mini painting. My buddy and I, we played D&D. He had a 3D printer. And every Wednesday we would spend 2-3 hours painting minis, something I was not good at. But I was enjoying the community we were building. And I was enjoying sitting down, having these social moments or talking about, it was mini painting. So we would go off on wild world building or character building things. It's easy for us. Again, I've got that imagination. Then COVID happened and we weren't getting together and movement happened. And so I didn't have confidence on running a stream on my own. I thought I needed that person, that other personality. So I wasn't so much afraid of dealing with chat. I had dealt with chat. I had dealt with trolls. One of my favorite trolls' names is not appropriate on here at all. And we dug in. We ran with it. I'm an old soul on the internet. It's going to take a lot to troll me. Or at least bother me. Like, ban buttons are quick, dude. I don't know. So it wasn't the chat. It was literally the environment that I was in that was affecting me so.
What you just mentioned during your discussion about painting the miniatures and your world building brings me to I don't know what we want to call it, a guest question submitted by Kaon.
Ooh.
So I'll just read what he has. You have mentioned on stream about being an amateur game dev, drafting design docs. If you're willing to share what type of games you're working on, what are some of your immediate aspirations?
Some of my immediate aspirations. I am working up here mostly, of course, on a point and click adventure. I wanted to do a nice, cute point and click adventure along the Pajama Sam and Putt Putt and that kind of game. Because my son was growing older and we started getting him into those games as he was growing, and I'm like, there's none of these. Why are there none of these around? But I found out as I was going, I have a hard time staying in the cute and cuddly side of things. So it's turning more into a definitely overreaching project for me, where I have point and click, but there's multiple characters, multiple points of view might be going on. Definitely, I'm going for a Silent Hill 2 twisty narrative. We're going into the psyche. We're playing with the brain. My best direction to point people to for a game would be The Last Door. It's a beautiful point and click adventure. Very Cthulhu, the darkness behind the veil of life and death. It's beautiful and I love it. And a point and click adventure, though my scope of what I want to do with characters and everything is way out of reach, the actual doing part is within reach. I can use Game Maker. It's right there on my desktop. There's another one called Adventure Game Maker or
Adventure Game Studio.
Adventure Game Studio. Like these are free engines that are within my grasp. Now I just have to start doing backgrounds. Oh wait, I'm bad at backgrounds. That's part of the game design of, okay, now I have to learn this skill so I can put down what's up here so other people can see what I've got up here. So I know I can do the sprites, backgrounds. I can do a rough thing. I really want to do some background. So where's the hard part coming in? It's that narrative. It's that connection. It's what do I want to tell in this story? What am I poking at? And that's what's playing in my head and doing like on sheet at the moment. My sheets are just graph paper. I have more than one book of graph paper, and they are just scribbles of weird game mechanics and ideas, and it's always here beside my computer because I'm either outside that door or I'm right here where I can grab it quick and just scribble when inspiration hits.
I know for my co-host, inspiration often hits in an airport.
I just spend a lot of time in airports.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your process? Like how do you think through mechanics? Do you work it out on paper first? Do you just pilot them at the bar with your friends?
Sure, I can talk a little bit about that. So for me, I'm definitely someone who has, just constant ideas. So I've got, a little Moleskine notebook that I write stuff down in, and then they just kind of percolate in the back of my mind for a while. And then when something has crystallized, where I'm like, okay, I know what I want to test for this. I know what the mechanic is. I know sort of like what the basic structure is. Then I know it's ready to materialize it, right? Either build a paper prototype to try out with friends at bars, or do a digital prototype in, Unity or web framework or something. So I don't know. It's always one of those funny things where people are like, "Where do you get your ideas?" And it's like, I don't know, everywhere, all the time. I feel like that is something that you learn, you as a kid have, and then are taught to shut it off. And so just being able to continually use your imagination and build out ideas and worlds and concepts, whether it's in games or writing or art, is a skill that you need to keep cultivating.
I was lucky on that side of things. My parents always loved my creativity and always fostered it. And at least, like I said I would draw during class. They never told me to stop drawing. They told me to pay attention. They didn't tell me to stop drawing. So on that note, my parents have always been really good. I'll fully give them that. Like my mother loved hearing me tell stories to neighborhood kids. I don't remember this. When did this happen? Oh. And again, I didn't think it was a tool. It's just something my brain can do. And then I started getting into D&D, and I realized that world building didn't come to everyone. Characters don't come to everyone. I sneeze and I have a new character. I don't know how people don't do it. So on that side of things, I'm very happy that I've been able to keep the creative. To go back to the game design question though, and why I'm a kind of game designer, one of my friends who actually does work on games, he calls me a game designer who's just never made a game before. I've been playing these games for over 30 years. I started back with the shareware. So I've been having this constant conversation with developers of, oh, this works, this doesn't. I've been totally trying to rip apart what they've been doing for 30 years, their puzzles, their games, their little things that they bring to me. I take their little gifts in my hand and I go, how can I rip this apart and have fun with this?
Absolutely. You talked a little bit about the support structures that you've had with your parents. Are there any other support structures you'd like to talk about? And maybe on the back of that, I know that your pets have shown up a couple of times on stream, and I would love for you to describe them.
Okay, so my pets, they are a big part of my life. Uh, I had a few dogs growing up along the way, just for some personal history. The dogs would last a few years. Who knows what would happen? One got too big for the house. One got hit by a car. One was too aggressive. Like lots of little things happen like that. Then my wife and I, at the time we were just dating, but it was that whole first apartment, not ready to have a kid yet. Let's have a little fuzzy one. And she went out on the local stuff and she just started digging and digging and she found a really cute miniature schnauzer. Now, we don't know if he's purebred. I don't think so. I think he's mixed with pug or something. But we drive out to this farm, we check him out, and we pick him up and he's actually really sick. We don't know if it was like what kind of farm it was. Let's not get into it. So we take him home, and I mean, I have to boil him a plain chicken breast. It's the only thing the darn dog ate for the first 3 days, is like a little bit of that. So he's always been our cuddly little bear. He spent forever just cuddling us. Well, that little bear is now 13 years old. He's an old man. He still has some of those chompers. He's not supposed to. Most schnauzers his age have lost all their teeth. So he's still chomping on hard food. I had to trim his nails yesterday. I think that's it, is the taking care of him and brushing his teeth and whatnot. And then that little guy's been through, talk about going through games. He has sat through, because he likes to lay in between my legs. It makes a nice hammock. And he's laid there through Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas, Skyrim, Oblivion. Like, he's been there for so many long, long games. he could probably tell you how to play some of these games at this point. So he's old and he's grumpy and he's not moving like he used to. So we went out for a walk and we had a discussion and we decided to get a new pupper. I was originally a little bit aback by it because like at the time Watson was 11, he was already showing his age, like some arthritis, some hard movement and whatnot. And like, come on, we're gonna get a pup. They're gonna run into this poor dog. They're gonna break him. But life events happen, burnout again and whatnot. And I went, sure, let's get a dog. Like, I love having this pupper here. It's gonna break my heart when this dog dies, but like, maybe we'll just get another dog with the other dog. And like, actually, no, we're gonna scratch that. My main thought was I didn't want to get a new dog until this one passed away. And then I realized that we were setting ourselves up to literally just sit there and watch my dog die. And that's horrible. I didn't want my kid to be sitting there going, I want a new dog. Is this one dead yet? Is this one dead yet? Like, so right there on that walk, it's like, no, let's just bite the bullet. Let's get a puppo. Let's do this. We get home. It was a walk. It's hot here. I wanted to shower. I go in and I shower and I come out and my wife's like, oh, get dressed. Why? Oh, I found a dog. We're going to go pick it up. It's a 2-hour drive. So now we have a nice Bernese Mountain Dog, a breed that my wife has always wanted. It's been her dream dog, and I love pups. I was apprehensive about getting a big dog because can I handle a dog? Oh, wait, I can. I've got this little one. That's not a question anymore. So now we got the big Bernese Mountain Dog named Lily. She's my barbarian princess because she doesn't know she's as big as she is, and she thinks she's all dainty and amazing. And since she has entered the house, Watson, the old dog, has spunked up. Why? Well, we had to train Lily. Lily was getting treats. Old man, oh, I can sit. I deserve a treat. Well, yeah, you do deserve it. So he's spunked right back up into life. He's bouncing a bit more. He plays with his toys a bit more. He doesn't play with her. There's still quite the divide. He'll lay on the couch with her. That's as far as I'm getting with that one. But she has brought so much happiness and so much levity to this house. We were talking about some of those creative juices and whatnot. I'm often out back in the backyard because she is a burner. She wants the fresh air. She wants the grass. And well, I'm often out back there with her, just enjoying my backyard and the dog. And that's when something will start percolating like, oh, what if we do this? What if we try this?
You mentioned being outside, out back, doing your thinking there. You live on the west coast of Canada, and one thing you've actually mentioned multiple times on stream is how the move there sort of led to a lot of positivity in your life. Do you want to talk about a little bit?
Sure. I was just always one of those kids where even though I was born on the East Coast, I think I was a West Coast kid. I've always been like that quiet, reserved, relaxed side of things. And even just coming back from Ontario now, like I just came back from a 2-week trip, and there were certain things in Toronto. It was go, 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 go. And no lovely, luscious beards. Everyone was clean, trimmed, and go, go. And it's not me. This goes back to that Lost Lake thing. I'd rather have a cottage on a lake with a little bit of property and If I could get a trunk line out there for internet, it would be bliss. Uh, that's the only reason why I'm not out there at the moment. Uh, so yeah, back in the day when we would draw pictures and whatnot, I always had the mountains in the background. Trust me, where I grew up, you didn't see background. The things in the background were not really worth looking at. It was a very industrial town. You had smokestacks and you had trees. It was very flat. So I love that I can go outside, go for a walk, and I'm up a foothill and I can see across my town in like, I don't know, 10 minutes. It's 5 minute walk.
What about now? It's time to rock with the biggity back bumper. What about now? It's time to rock with the biggity back bumper. Bump to the bump to the bump to the bass. Bump to the bump to the bumper. Bump to the bump to the bump to the bass. Bump to the bump to the bumper. Bump to the bump.
Tell us about Lost Lake 85's art. Plug your site, sell some stuff.
Darn right. So Lost Lake 85, my wife just kind of suckered onto the handle. I don't blame her. The big reason why she suckered onto the handle is her and I had actually started a business together. When we moved across the country, one of the things we wanted to do was jump into photography. We barely touched the photography, that's fine. Let's just say I had a few years where I loved being in photography, burned out, lost creative juices, whatever. So we had our photography company and we were doing your standard wedding photos and your standard family shoots, maternity shoots, that kind of thing. And I wasn't enjoying it. I had a better time taking landscape photos and editing those than looking at a couple on a bridge. So we got to a point where I burnt out my first time ever from Geek Squad, and I have to walk away, but I'm not allowed to make money on the side either because it's supposed to be a stress leave thing. But I'm already not feeling the photography, so you know what? Let's kill it. It's dead. I'm done. Well, she's sitting there going, well, we've got this art, and she had started to sell at the local farmers market. Not even local, it's like one little town over or something. And she was selling some of her photos, and it was kind of trickling in, but nothing big. And I'm like, I have to walk away from the whole thing. She's like, well, can I keep the business? I'm like, it's all yours. Have it 100%. Like, I don't care. You need support. I'm here for support. I don't want to sit at a market. You need anything else, you need me to drive, let me know. So that's where she started going. She would be at that market every single Sunday until she got her foot into the door for a bigger market the year after. And she did that one every single Wednesday and every single Saturday. And she got her foot into the door for a bigger and bigger market. And as she was doing that, she started doing art and selling her art. And that's what was taking off. It's like, yeah, throw out the photos. I'm over photos. Sell your art. This is yours. Go, have fun. And that's basically what she's doing. She does a farmer's market every Saturday. She'll hit it up mostly on a Wednesday. And if there's an event, she'll slide in there on like a Sunday or something like that. And she started getting sales on our website, lostlakestudios.com. And some of the art was trickling in and making a few sales, but it was still quite quiet. This year, though, she's come up with this. She bought little mini bookshelves from the dollar store. Some of it might be like Michael's type of quality woodworking. And they're just little bookshelves. And she is actually using paper and foam and Mod Podge, and she's printing out books. Like, readers are a big demographic in her thing. Her stickers are all about reading. Her art's all about reading now. You're thinking Lord of the Rings, high fantasy, Romantasy is a big niche for her. So she started doing like her little romantasy novels on these little books. One Instagrammer got a hold of it, not even a big Instagrammer, shared a quick little snippet of, look at this little thing, it's so cute. And orders have exploded. Exploded to the point where that trip that we had 2 weeks ago, we actually had an order. Well, I say we, it's her. It's all her. She had an order for. Oh wait, I'll go back. Let's trim that up. Well, we had an order while we were gone where my wife was sitting there and she was saying like, I'm doing these bookcases. It's not my art, but like, is it getting people even to look at my site? Like, this isn't the direction I wanted the business to go in. So, like, should I continue? And just as we're sitting there going like, okay, it could be advertisement, maybe it's not advertisement, we go to sleep. The next day we wake up. She's got an order from Italy, not for the books, for her art, for her bookmarks, her stickers. Holy cow, this is huge. She puts it through. We get back, another order, same person, Italy, even more stuff, as if the person's friends saw it and went, yeah, let's all go in on shipping. This is amazing. So I'm always proud of her. I love what she's doing. I sit here and I sand those bookcases, take off the little burrs so that she's putting out a beautiful product. And yeah, that's where that is sitting right now. The website is mostly selling some bookshelves and some little mini books. Oh, they're so cute.
Definitely check out lostlakestudios.com. It'll also be in the show note. Keeping on family for a moment, I know you have posted before about playing Minecraft with your family. Can you talk a little bit about the role that video games have in your relationships and your parenting?
This goes directly back to having my kid poke at Pajama Sam. I was looking for something for this little guy. Maybe he was about 5 at the time, 4. I was looking for something for him to point and interact with because I'm always around the darn things. We have photos of me sitting there playing PlayStation and this little infant on my lap stealing the controller from me, pressing all the buttons. So because it's always there, he's gonna look. Well, what's something that kids can really wrap their head around? Well, Minecraft. You place a block, you build the block, you take away the block. So I started him just poking at that. And we build a little hut or something, and he's liking it. It's cool. And my wife's looking, and she's like, okay, like there's something here. He's playing Legos. This is neat. And we play another time, and he starts to like it a little bit more, a little bit less. Like, okay, we can explore. Not so much for the exploring. This is where I learn one of my child's differences from me. My child likes to sit in a giant sandbox with all the tools in the world. You put him in creative mode and he'll build. He loves it. You put him in survival mode, he'll get frustrated. I don't want to wait to get these resources. I want to do this now. Okay, cool. So we pop him in creative mode and he starts building a house. And my wife's like, oh, like you can actually make kind of a cute house with that. And she goes on YouTube. She found the dark YouTube hole. Which guy is it? It's not going to go there. One of the YouTubers above my head is very much I'm going to build pretty things. And that's their stick. Like they'll play with other people and interact, but their stick is I will build pretty things. And my wife got watching. And my wife started going, wait, that looks kind of fun. I can do that. So she bought Minecraft and she started poking at it. And we bought it for my son, and it's one of those, wait, we can all play in the same world together. And then we were all playing in the same world together, and doing it over LAN is horrible. Let's get a realm. And this whole time, my wife's watching this YouTuber and then another YouTuber. And then she gets watching the Hermitcraft YouTubers, these guys up here. And I'm still on and off with Minecraft. I am old Minecraft. The betas, maybe even alphas, before there was a survival mode, it was just cotton colored blocks. And so it's normal for me to play it for a bit and go away, sit down, mine, and go away. I was in a go away phase, maybe ready for another sit down phase. I don't know. But my wife was watching these hermit crafters, and one of them was building a game in Minecraft. Okay, wait, what? Like, I know there's redstone, I know there's programming, but you're doing what with it? So I started watching his episodes. And then I went back to the beginning and I watched his whole season up to that point, watching him build this game. Well, watching him build this game, he interacted with all these different people on the server. So now I'm going back and I'm watching their episodes. So I fell down the rabbit hole. So I fell down the rabbit hole. My wife fell down the rabbit hole. We're talking about it. My mother-in-law, she sees it. She falls down the rabbit hole. Another branch to this is COVID happening. Minecraft got a huge boost from COVID. We've talked about this. My parents are on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast. My mom had a lot of time off because of COVID. She works retail. So through Minecraft, through these realms, through Discord, I connected my mom up with her 5-year-old grandchild. And they could play daily due to COVID and homeschooling. So they got a huge boost in their relationship, and I could just see this huge change happen. And it's like, okay, Minecraft's always going to be in our life from this point on. It is our sandbox to go into and interact with each other when there's distance between us. And that's really where Minecraft has helped with the whole family. Even my father, who's not a big gamer, his old rule was if it takes more than a joystick and one button, he's done. Even he'll pop on because he wants to hang out with his grandkid for just like an hour or two.
You briefly mentioned homeschooling, talked about it on your stream in the past. Can you explain a little bit about how do you partake in the homeschooling and what was your thinking behind that?
My first step was voting definitely that homeschooling would be the way to go for our little guy. As your kids kind of growing, you get into that 2, 3, 4, you start thinking about them being in school and whatnot, daycare. And I could tell, well, one, we had already set ourselves up where I was living with my mother-in-law. So we had daycare already planned. Like I was working a job, my wife was working a job, and mother-in-law was daycare. So why spend money on daycare? Well, she's already teaching him around here all the little things he needs to know. He's sitting there on the counter watching her cook. He's sitting there beside her learning even how to do not taxes, but she's looking at the money. Oh, this is a normal thing to do. We're going to take some time out of our day to look at our budget and see how things are going. It came time for that discussion. What do we do? And it's like, well, he's already learning. I'm not too worried about it. My wife's an English major. I'm not a reader. And then I'll play a giant RPG with thousands of words. Let's not get into it. So I was already sitting at a point where my wife and I are both university educated. She's got all this. We know we can get our kid to whatever level of brilliance he needs to be at. He's a smart kid. It's going to be his detriment too. So I definitely did not have a great experience going to school. Between my I've already talked about how I learned differently than others. Due to the mood swings I had, I can't say that I had a lot of camaraderie at school. I didn't have friends or anything tying me there. And I could see my poor boy falling into the same pattern. So, no, let's not make him go into this environment. We can figure out how to teach him on our own. And we pick up books that make sure that he stays on curriculum. We pick up books that make sure he stays at whatever level the kids around him are at for the different math, sciences, and stuff like that. But we try to make learning opportunities more during the day than anything else. We do get that first crunch in right at the start of the day before lunch, where it's going to be more of a sit down focus because he's got the time and energy to sit down and focus. So that's when we'll tackle math, we'll tackle science, we'll tackle like our sciences are more on the STEM side of things. Let's dip our toe into this STEM. Let's dip our toe into this thing. And then the afternoon is more of the physical or social or whatever need be on that side of things. But we're even teaching on Saturday, Sunday. We take a lot of trips to, like my kid loves animals. We'll go to museums, we'll go to science centers. And we'll take the time. He's getting one-on-one with two adults at that point. Hey, look at this fossil. What do you think about it? We ask him as many questions as we can. We want to see where his mind's going. And then kind of shift. Well, no, fossilization happens a little bit more like this. Not telling him he's wrong, just like, that's a cool idea. What if it happened more like this? To kind of guide his brain into, oh yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so we know you from the Dev Game Club Discord server, so we've been asking our guests, some questions around that.
Yes.
So how did you find Dev Game Club?
I was working a job where I was doing a lot of driving. It was like, I don't know, every 2-3 weeks I'd be on the road, each day around 3 to 4 hours. And I've always loved video games, and I was digging through video game podcasts. And Dev Game Club just had a flow. It had a seriousness. It had I don't know. It had something different than the other podcasts that really got me hooked in. They talked about the design in a way other podcasts weren't talking about. We had one very technical person and one very lore person. We had different points of view on how this would be constructed, and I thought that was amazing. I don't remember what episode was coming out when I got hooked. I just know that I went through a good chunk of their catalog, like driving back and forth all the time.
Do you have a game you think they should play?
I've been thinking about that a lot, actually. It bounces all the time. I'm kind of thinking Clive Barker's Undying. It's older. It's the 2001, and what it brings is it was one of the first ones to kind of have the lore on sheet if you want to get the full story. It was kind of the one who had audio logs as you're going. It was the one who had the BioShock gun in one hand, spells in another hand. It brought so much. It had Clive Barker writing. It's interesting. It's neat. I think lately that's been one that I kind of want them to poke at, but it shifts all the time. It depends what we're playing.
Do you have a pillar or a takeaway from their podcast?
I'm gonna go back. I know their podcast wasn't the first time I heard it. It's one of those things that keeps trickling through the industries, and it's one that they say that I just love. We need more keys that aren't keys. I love when I can sit back and I can tell that a developer has put time and energy into making this not a key open a door.
Do you have any suggestions to improve the Discord?
Not off the top of my head. Maybe a little bit more group interaction. That's hard though because of schedules, everyone with different time zones, and it's hard enough to schedule just a couple people together. But I'd like to see maybe utilize some of the things on Discord, like the games that are on Discord through the chats and whatnot. Or have a Mario Kart night where we all try to meet on and link up a friend code to go play Mario Kart together because a bunch of us have Switches or something like that. I think a little bit more group interaction would benefit us.
I think that's a great idea. Shifting a little bit to the charity event that the Discord and everyone on this call helped put on this last year, Defeating Games for Charity and other DGC. What was that experience like for you streaming in it?
Oh my, the nerves. The nerves were all over the place on that one. I really hadn't had that much experience again doing the solo stream on my own. I also walked in without a clear idea as to what I wanted to get accomplished while I was streaming. So I was in there flailing. I thought I could on the cuff talk a little bit better about the mechanics I was experiencing without just I thought I could do it, and I didn't have that streaming experience of no, you're going to have streamer brain and you're going to be focusing on a bunch of things at once. So on that side of things, completely overwhelming. On the raising money and on the bonding side of things, I thought it was amazing and great. I definitely feel a better companionship with everyone who was involved. And it was nice to have a goal that we all worked together to do. Maybe that's one of those because I'm not working as much in projects in work. It was nice for me to be included in a project where like, oh, I actually have a deadline for something. I don't know, man. But yeah, just working with others was my good takeaway of it. My takeaway on the negative side was I have to do more prep and I can't just rely on myself to wing things, be it coffee, be it whatever's needed.
Have you been thinking then about what game you want to stream for next year?
It's difficult because I play so many things and I'm not focused on any one thing. I don't really know what to do. We do have a cool shtick. I have one of those inflatable T-Rex costumes. So I think as an incentive, I should play a game in one of the inflatable T-Rex costumes, but I don't think I want to play Trespass. I did watch a speed run of Trespasser and it looks doable. I don't think I have the patience other than finding a good dinosaur theme game along that Turok or something. I really don't know. That's one of those where I would like guidance from the community to be like something along these lines. Oh, okay.
Well, whatever you end up doing, I'm very much looking forward to that dinosaur costume. Is there anything else that you want to mention before we wrap up?
No, not off the top of my head. I love what you guys are doing here. This is amazing. Not a lot of people know this, but I was one of the first ones on the Discord back when Tim stopped streaming. Mark had already kind of put out the feelers through emails and he had kind of put out the feelers through Tim's streams. As I was dealing with my own social things, being an introvert, I stepped up and I messaged Mark and I said, hey, I've got time. I'm one of those people on West Coast. I can stay up late, kind of take the night shift. He's just like, yeah, sure. I'll keep it in mind. And next thing I know, he's got a Discord started. There's myself, Mark, Artie, and people just start trickling in. And Next thing I know, it's people that I've been listening to their emails. I was fanboying over these emails. Oh my God, it's Mystery Tip. So as this community was coming together, I just loved watching it grow and it gel and it be the community it is today. So I got to say thanks to you guys for like having these little podcasts so everyone can get to know each other better. And as we grow, we'll have a little time capsule. That's what I'm looking forward to. I want to come back in 3 to 5 years, play this episode and be like, oh yeah, I was just starting streaming. Look at that.
On that note, plug all your stuff.
Yeah, so Lost Lake, it's pretty easy. That's part of the reason why I took the moniker. Lost Lake and Studios is all her art. It's all bookish. She's asked me to do a few video game ones. I don't know. I thought of save early, save often. I don't have a lot of these quips. That's not where my imagination, my creative juices go, apparently. My creative juices right now, it goes to Lost Lake 86 at twitch.com, where I am streaming most days. And if I'm not streaming, I'm making emotes for other people's streams, be it Kaon is my main one, and I've done Kyle, and I've done another, and one day I'll make one for Nolan.
There's a Nolan bomb coming.
It absolutely is. Thank you so much for your time and your openness. I am Calamity Nolan on the Discord. You can also follow my Twitch streams at twitch.tv/Calamity Nolan. And you can check out my games at upatnightgames.com. Thanks for listening to this episode of Discord Game Club Just Rhetoric. We want to thank Brett and Tim for making the Dev Game Club podcast and for giving us a slot in their release feed. We also want to thank Mark and Artemage for starting the Discord Game Club podcast. Go listen to those episodes if you haven't already. If you'd like to hear more interviews like these, let us know. You can find us in the Dev Game Club Discord or Calamity Nolan and Biostats. Goodbye!